1958, the American Cancer Society quietly revised its dietary guidance and stopped recommending the specific kitchen preparations that generations of American families had used without thinking twice. Things like simmering bone broth on the back burner all week, cooking tomatoes in oil, the way Southern European grandmothers had done for centuries. Not because they stopped working, because something more profitable was coming through the pipeline. But here's the part nobody talks about. Modern oncology research has spent the last 3 decades quietly confirming what those kitchens already knew. We are going to cover 15 of them. Pay attention to number 9, a common pantry spice used in 2 specific ways that leaves oncologists speechless. And number 4 will make you angry. A fruit your grandmother ate weekly that the pharmaceutical industry spent decades trying to make you forget. Before we start, hit subscribe. This channel covers the history of health that got buried, and we are just getting started. Number 15, the raw garlic morning habit. She crushed it. She did not mince it, she did not saute it immediately, and she certainly did not swallow a capsule with a glass of water. She crushed a clove or 2 and left it sitting on the cutting board for 10 minutes before it touched anything. That pause was not accidental. When garlic is crushed, an enzyme called alliinase converts alliin into allicin, the compound studied for its anti-proliferative properties across multiple cancer cell lines. Letting it sit allows the conversion to complete. Heat destroys allicin almost entirely, so the cooked clove your grandmother threw in the pot still fed the family. But the crushed clove she left on the board for 10 minutes first was doing something else entirely. The supplement industry now sells aged garlic extract for $30 to $60 a bottle. Your grandmother just waited 10 minutes. Number 14, the turmeric and fat combination. Your grandmother in South Asia, in the Caribbean, in West Africa, in any kitchen touched by a spice tradition older than the FDA, added turmeric to fat. She cooked it in ghee or coconut oil or a spoonful of butter before anything else went into the pan. That step is not cosmetic. Curcumin, the active polyphenol in turmeric, is almost completely insoluble in water and barely absorbed by the human gut on its own. When combined with fat and with black pepper, which contains piperine, absorption increases by as much as 2,000%. That is not a wellness blog number. That is what human volunteer research found. The supplement industry sells curcumin capsules with proprietary absorption systems for $40 to $80 a month. Your grandmother added a pinch of black pepper to whatever she was cooking and called it seasoning. Number 13, the crucifer cooking method. She did not boil her broccoli until it turned gray. She steamed it lightly or ate it raw with a drizzle of oil and salt. She did not know the word sulforaphane, but she preserved it in every bowl she served. Sulforaphane is a potent inducer of phase 2 detoxification enzymes. These enzymes help the body neutralize carcinogens before they can damage DNA. Sulforaphane has been studied as a cancer preventive in bladder, prostate, breast, and lung cancer research since the 1990s. Boiling destroys it rapidly, with measurable loss beginning within the first minute. Steaming for 1 to 3 minutes preserves and actually enhances the yield. The precursor survives steaming. It does not survive a rolling boil. Your grandmother did not have that data. She just did not like mushy vegetables. The result was the same. Number 12, the tomato cooked in oil. Raw tomatoes are good. Cooked tomatoes in oil are dramatically better, specifically for cancer risk reduction, particularly in prostate cancer research, which matters for anyone with the relevant family history. Lycopene, the carotenoid that gives tomatoes their color, is fat-soluble. Cooking concentrates it and breaks down cell walls that trap it in the raw vegetable. Adding oil completes the absorption pathway. A Harvard study of 47,000 male health professionals found that those who ate 10 or more servings per week of tomato-based foods, particularly tomato sauce, showed up to a 45% lower risk of prostate cancer. Cooked products were more protective than raw tomatoes or juice. Your grandmother made sauce from scratch every Sunday. It simmered in olive oil for 2 hours. She was not following a protocol. She was feeding her family. and doing precisely the thing that decades of subsequent research would confirm. Number 11, the flaxseed ground daily. She bought the seeds whole. She kept them in the pantry, and she ground a tablespoon or two each morning in a small hand mill or a coffee grinder she kept for exactly this purpose. Ground flaxseed, specifically freshly ground, provides lignans, a class of phytoestrogens that bind to estrogen receptors and have demonstrated protective effects in hormone-sensitive cancers, particularly breast cancer. A randomized controlled trial found that breast cancer patients who consumed 25 grams of ground flaxseed daily showed significant reductions in tumor cell proliferation and increased rates of apoptosis, which is programmed cancer cell death, in the weeks between diagnosis and surgery. Whole flaxseed passes through the gut largely unabsorbed. Ground flaxseed, freshly processed, delivers the lignin content. She ground it fresh because she also did not like the texture of old powder. The result was the same. Number 10, the mushroom broth habit. She added dried mushrooms to everything. Shiitake in the soup base. Reishi simmered into a bitter tea she drank without apology. Maitake folded into the rice or the grain. She did not use the word beta-glucan. Researchers use it constantly now. Beta-glucans are polysaccharides found in the cell walls of medicinal mushrooms. They have demonstrated immunomodulatory and anti-tumor effects in research going back to the 1960s. Japan approved a beta-glucan compound derived from shiitake mushrooms called lentinan as a cancer adjunct therapy in 1985, and it has been used alongside chemotherapy in Japanese hospitals for 40 years. A bag of dried shiitake mushrooms costs $4. Your grandmother just made soup. Now here is where things get interesting. Every one of these items so far has a research trail stretching back decades. The studies exist, the compounds have names, the mechanisms are understood. And yet, when the American Cancer Society publishes its dietary guidelines, not one of these preparations appears with the specificity that would actually help someone use them. General guidance is not the same as actionable guidance. It never has been. The question worth sitting with is not whether these things work. The question is why the guidance keeps being general when the research keeps being specific. Number 9, the turmeric milk at night. Remember the pantry spice from the opening used in 2 specific ways? This is it. Your grandmother, who came from South Asia, or whose cooking traditions touched the Indian subcontinent through immigration or culinary exchange, made warm milk with turmeric before bed. In Ayurvedic tradition, this preparation is called haldi do dh. In cancer research, it has become the subject of serious clinical investigation. Turmeric taken at night, in warm, fat-carrying milk with a pinch of black pepper, delivers curcumin during the body's overnight repair cycle, when cellular housekeeping is most active. A cup of warm milk with a teaspoon of turmeric and a pinch of black pepper costs less than 30 cents. The supplement version costs $40 a month. Number 8, the fermented food every day. She did not call it a probiotic, she called it her morning yogurt. She called it the jar of kimchi in the back of the refrigerator. She called it the sauerkraut she made in fall from the cabbage that grew along the back fence, packed into a crock with salt and weighted with a stone and left for weeks. The Guti microbiome's role in cancer prevention is one of the fastest developing research areas in oncology. A 2021 Stanford study found that high fermented food diets produced measurable increases in microbiome diversity and reductions in 19 inflammatory markers, with chronic inflammation being a documented initiating factor in cancer development. The fermented food supplement industry is now a multi-billion-dollar market. Your grandmother paid 30 cents for the cabbage, added salt, and did the work herself every October. Number 7, the olive oil over everything. She did not measure it, she poured. Onto the bread, into the pan before anything else, over the salad without a second thought, onto the vegetables after they came off the heat. In southern Italy and coastal Greece, where olive oil was not a health category but simply how food was made, cancer rates, particularly colorectal and breast cancer, have historically tracked lower than in populations whose diets shifted toward refined seed and vegetable oils after World War II. Oleocanthal, a phenolic compound found in extra virgin olive oil, has been shown in laboratory research to trigger cancer cell death within 30 minutes while leaving normal cells unharmed. The mechanism is specific. The selectivity for cancer cells over healthy cells is consistent, and the compound comes from the same bottle your grandmother poured every single day. Number 6, the ginger in everything. She grated it fresh. She sliced it into the hot water before the tea bag. She added it to the chicken when it went into the pot, to the fish before it hit the pan, to the rice water. She was never without a knob of it sitting in a small dish on the counter. 6-shogol and 6-gingerol, the primary bioactive compounds in fresh ginger, have been studied across breast, lung, ovarian, and colon cancer research with consistent results. The documented mechanisms include anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, pro-apoptotic, and anti-metastatic activity, meaning ginger compounds show measurable effects at multiple stages of the cancer process, not just one. A fresh knob of ginger costs about $1. The encapsulated extract version costs $25 a bottle. Your grandmother grated the same compound onto a cutting board and stirred it into the pot. Number 5, the dandelion green salad. She pulled them from the yard before they flowered, rinsed them in cold water, and put them in the bowl alongside whatever else was on the table. She called them weeds worth eating. Researchers at the University of Windsor found that dandelion root extract induced selective apoptosis in human leukemia cells without harming normal cells. Subsequent studies confirmed similar selective effects in drug-resistant melanoma cells and in a form of leukemia that resists standard therapy. The lawn care industry spends hundreds of millions of dollars per year marketing herbicides designed to eliminate the thing your grandmother put on the dinner table. She was pulling medicine out of the ground. The industry convinced the next 2 generations to poison it and pay for the privilege. Number 4, the grapefruit every Sunday. Remember the fruit from the opening? Here it is. Your grandmother cut it in half and ate it with a spoon, sometimes with a little honey or a pinch of salt, every Sunday morning without fail. Naringenin, the primary flavonoid in grapefruit, has been documented in laboratory research to inhibit tumor proliferation across breast, colon, and liver cancer cell lines. That is the first layer. The second layer is where it gets complicated. Grapefruit also contains compounds called furanocoumarins, which inhibit a liver enzyme. It metabolizes nearly half of all pharmaceutical drugs currently on the market, including several chemotherapy agents. The inhibition is so significant that oncologists routinely tell patients to avoid grapefruit during treatment because the interaction causes drug concentrations to spike. The FDA has issued formal guidance on this. Nobody stopped to ask whether the food that amplifies cancer drugs might have its own standalone protective value. A grapefruit costs 80 cents. The flavonoid supplement version runs $35 a month. Stop for a moment. 4 items left in this countdown, and a pattern that runs through all 15 of them. They cost almost nothing. They require no prescription. And the research confirming their mechanisms exists, peer-reviewed and published inside the very journals that the institutions dismissing these practices claim to respect. That gap between what the research shows and what the public guidance recommends is not an oversight. It is a structural feature of a system in which the most profitable guidance wins. Your grandmother was not practicing alternative medicine. She was practicing the original medicine, before alternative became a word invented to mean unproven, before the industry that replaced her pantry needed that word to protect its margins. Number 3, the morning lemon ritual. She squeezed half a lemon into a glass of warm water every morning before she ate or drank anything else. She did this for decades, every single day, without missing. She said it woke up the digestion. She was right about that. And the research trail she never had access to runs further. Limonene, a monoterpene found in citrus peel oil, has been shown in clinical research to concentrate in breast tissue and reduce markers of tumor cell proliferation. A pilot study enrolled women with early-stage breast cancer and found measurable reductions in cyclin D1 expression, a key cell proliferation marker, over 2 to 6 weeks. Fresh lemon juice delivers a smaller dose than the concentrated supplement used in the trial, but she squeezed one lemon into warm water every single morning for 40 years. She never called it a clinical trial. She called it how she started her day, the same way her mother had, and her mother before that. Number 2, the daily bone broth pot. Your grandmother kept a pot going on the back burner most of the week. She threw in whatever bones were left from Sunday's roast, added a splash of vinegar, and let it simmer for 6 to 12 hours. She called it stock. She called it soup base. She called it not wasting anything. The vinegar mattered. Acetic acid draws calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus out of the bones and into the liquid, where they become bioavailable. The collagen and amino acids that release during the long simmer, including glycine and proline, have been studied for their role in reducing chronic gut inflammation, which is a documented environmental factor in cancer risk. Bone broth at the grocery store runs $4 to $8 per carton. Your grandmother made it from bones she would have thrown away every single week for free. She called it common sense. The research eventually caught up. Number 1, the grandmother's kitchen as a whole system. This is the one that ties everything together, and it is the only one that cannot be reduced to a single compound or a single mechanism. Your grandmother did not take one supplement. She did not follow one protocol with a branded name and a monthly subscription fee. She built a kitchen that was itself an environment of daily, layered protection, so many compounds woven across so many meals and habits that the cumulative effect exceeded the sum of its parts. The turmeric went into fat, the garlic rested before the heat, the mushrooms simmered in the broth, the fermented jar sat in the back of the refrigerator all year, the ginger sat on the counter in a small dish, the lemon was squeezed before breakfast. The bitter greens came from the yard. None of it was expensive. None of it required a prescription or a practitioner or a monthly delivery box. It required a kitchen and the daily decision to use it the way it was meant to be used, the way people had used kitchens for hundreds of years before the industry decided a pill was more convenient than a pot on the stove. The pharmaceutical and food industries did not replace your grandmother's kitchen by proving it was wrong. They replaced it by making it seem inconvenient, unscientific, and insufficiently serious. The research disagrees. Your grandmother knew things. What you do with that is entirely up to you. If your grandmother practiced any of these in her kitchen, I want to know. Tell me in the comments which one she used, which one surprised you today, and whether you are bringing any of these back. Tell me what she always kept on the counter. Tell me what the kitchen smelled like. Leave it below.